Alright guys, so Comethzine has recently made like this new switch to a new sound or image. I mean, I'm not gonna say sound because he hasn't dropped any music, and it definitely has a lot of people scratching their heads like, yo, where did this come from? But I didn't just want to speak about that. I also wanted to speak about how Comethzine did a number of things in his career that kind of make this all make sense, but also he kind of did a bunch of things that created these unintended consequences so that he could actually do something like this in his career. So before I even get into any of that, let me just explain what happened if you didn't see this. By the way, this is old news that happened a couple of months ago. Basically, Comethzine has like this new look. They're calling him like, yo, Comethzine Hendrix or whatever, what Jimi Hendrix does to a man, you know. And many people are dubbing this the most interesting rebrand of 2024. Of course, some people were actually mad, you know, give this man a trap beat, this is trash, he's not making a comeback, you know. So it's the usual mixed reactions, but most people were just surprised. So I kind of want to speak about why Comethzine doing this actually might work for him. So first of all, you know, this isn't the first time something like this has happened. You know, you can look at someone like Gavin Wyland or Wyland, who used to be a SoundCloud rapper. I mean, he still kind of is. And this is kind of the stuff, you know, he would post. And now if you look at him, he looks like this. So it's like, what happened? And it's kind of the same case here with Comethzine. But let me explain to you why I think Comethzine might actually be able to pull this off. So the first thing that I think he did that a lot of people would normally advise against is he dropped like the same song a million times. I'm not even going to look through his Genius or Spotify or SoundCloud, but you know how NLE Choppa dropped like 8 Shada flows? Comethzine did that with like projects. There's like Bosky, then there's like Bosky 2, then there's like Bosky 3, then there's like Bosky 3.5. It's like, why is there a Bosky 3.5? I swear there's a Bosky 3.5. Yes, there's literally a Bosky 3.5. So he dropped like the same project consisting of the exact same songs a ton of times. And if you don't know this, Comethzine was going crazy back in like 2018. At one point, he was one of the hottest SoundCloud rappers. He had songs like Walk, Bands, Demi. He was on No Jumper. He had this one song called Might Cop a Jag, which isn't on streaming platforms, that I remember I really liked. And he had this image where he was like this really angry dude, and he's like, oh, and there'd be all these memes like Comethzine, and he'd just be like spazzing in the studio on producers, and there are all these videos of him doing some crazy stuff, or not crazy stuff, just like random stuff, you know. He has a song called DeMar DeRozan, super hard too. He just has a bunch of really good music that honestly, you know, once in every maybe like 6 months I'd come back to. It's not bad, you know. Of course, as his career went on, he kept dropping the exact same project. Okay, so there's like 6 Boskys, which is insane. And there wasn't much progression, which is why a lot of fans lost interest and he quote unquote fell off. But I'd actually say that this is going to work in his favors. I think like an unintended consequence of him dropping so many projects with such a similar sound is that he kind of grew this core fan base, and anyone who's a little bit tapped into Comethzine knows he does have like this kind of like, it's a very small cult fan base of fans, and they'll definitely ride for him. This is very similar to Wyland. He also has like a very small cult fan base that he might not drop forever, but they'll still keep like begging him for music and just be interested in whatever he's got to do. And I think that definitely applies here to Comethzine because he dropped the same thing over and over again. I guess it just like grew. Like, if you're a really big fan of an artist, if they drop the same stuff, you'll still listen, you know what I mean? So a lot of these cult fans, I guess they're just like that. But the other thing too is when you do something like this, I guess you just find people just respect you more as an artist. And I'm not saying he's like insane at playing the bass or whatever, or is that even the bass? I don't know. But I'm not saying he's gonna put out like the craziest stuff ever, because you know, if you heard that riff, it wasn't anything crazy. But you know, you definitely respect that he went back to square zero, because you know he was a good rapper, and I'm not saying he'll never rap again, but he went back to square zero and is and trying to rebuild this new sound similar to what Wyland did. Of course, I think if you get too weird like Wyland, I don't know if you guys know who Wyland is, I'm sure some of you guys do. He dropped a project that people just weren't that into, like a lot of rap fans. So I'd say Comethzine has to definitely tread the waters carefully, because, you know, for example, Wyland dropped a synth pop album and a lot of his fans were like, bro, what is this? This is not good. And just that small cult fan base was like, oh, this is the best thing ever. But for the most part, people agree like, yo, maybe this isn't the most listenable or most mainstream album, or this project just has no mainstream potential. So I think Comethzine definitely has to be careful with the sound he goes. So you can't go too far off the deep end. But I also think that it kind of makes sense, you know. Comethzine, I believe for one of his albums, he like dropped a music video for every single song on the album. So he's definitely been into like film. That was another thing. He has like a movie where he's been acting, or he's been trying to act and stuff. Forget what his name was in the movie, what he like called himself, his character, Frank Cole. And currently his Instagram is actually deactivated. So if you don't know, Comethzine would go like ghost, completely ghost on his fans. And honestly, I think this did more harm than good, because that's like a really easy way to mess up your career. You know, people will just lose, if you're not in front of people, they'll just lose interest. And marketing on social media for artists of any genre is very controversial. You know, labels, they pay a lot of money to make sure people's, you know, you just see their artists in front of your face. For example, Ian, like they're pushing him hard right now. The reason you keep seeing random stuff about him on all these rap pages is because, you know, they want to make sure you don't forget about him. Of course, they're trying to have him go on this little run right now. But, you know, you just look at any artist, they all have marketing budgets where they're being shown here and there, and it'll be like, Moneybag Yo bought a new Louis Vuitton bag. It's like, all right, bro. But, you know, Comethzine doesn't really have any of that. He just, or whether he has the budget or not, or chooses to use it, he chose to just completely, like, he would drop a project, go ghost, drop a project, go ghost. And when he would interact with his fans, I believe he'd be like kind of rude to them and just get mad at them and just spaz at them. But if you know anything about parasocial relationships with artists, their character doesn't really matter. Honestly, as long as you're true to yourself, which Comethzine seems like he is, he's not really like mysterious or anything. He just literally goes ghost. Like, he just ghosts his fans and likes his own alone time. And honestly, I guess he is like a creative artist. So by creative artist, I don't mean like his music was super creative and out of the box previously. I just mean like as an, you know, music artist. It's understandable. Of course, it's gonna hurt your career, but I think that does kind of create like this stronger relationship with your fans. I'm not totally sure. I think it does help a little bit though. What it definitely does do is whenever he does pop out, for example, with this new look, everyone's like, whoa, what the hell? Because they haven't heard of Comethzine in so long. You know, it's like, whoa, what? Crazy. And it has like a crazy reaction for sure. The last thing I'm very interested to see is how the music actually sounds. Like, so far, we've just got him like riffing and it hasn't been that good. The image is cold, I'm not gonna lie. Like, he's definitely got that down. He definitely has fans that'll check out his music, but now he just has to deliver. And the other thing too is, you know, is it gonna be like a fusion? I don't think it's gonna be like, is he just gonna drop like a rock album or like a rock and like, maybe not like a rock, but like what type of music is he gonna drop? Because he hasn't previewed any snippets. Also, like, kind of does make sense. It kind of, maybe it would like maybe it would work. Maybe it would be kind of seamless actually, because okay, so Comethzine, if you ever heard any of his songs, he was always like mad. He was like angry when it's like, he would be like, I walk around like that. I walk around like that. I can't finish the rest of that sentence, but you know, he'd be like, he'd have this angry tone. I guess you could do that with rock music too. Of course, many people are making comparisons to Jimi Hendrix with him, and you know, Jimi Hendrix played the blues, jazz, rock, and soul. I don't really see him doing like reggae, or I don't really see him doing any of that stuff. If he did, that's cool. I think he could probably pull off like an arc. The other thing he's also doing is his movie. I think that will come out because he's been teasing it for so long. So maybe it'll be like a whole like worldly moment, not to a massive scale, but you know how like The Weeknd created his own world before After Hours. I think Comethzine might be trying to do that for his next album, but you know, that's just the theory. Another thing is he's literally like been ghost. Like, if you look at his genius, right? The last time he released a project was in 2022, 2 years ago, all right? And it dropped, yeah, towards the end of 2022. But, you know, when he recorded it, like, it probably was even before that. On top of that, he hasn't, like, collabed with anyone other than Crime Life Cast, who, if you know who that is, he blew up with ABG Neal, and he was really hard, and now he got out of jail. He was in jail for 2 years, and I believe they were both signed to the same record label or something. They were kind of cool back then. But, yeah, literally not a single song for like 2 years, which is insane. All right, so I also checked out his subreddit, and his fans literally hate him. Like they make memes of how long his music takes to drop. Like, others kind of like are confused and miss the old Comethzine, quote unquote old Comethzine. This one Reddit user said, "Why Frank Cole and not the good old Comethzine? Do y'all wonder if he'll ever address why he rebranded to Frank Cole? I'm assuming it's because he didn't want his professional name to come from two." But I think it'd be funny to see all these normal looking names in the credits, and then you see Comethzine out of nowhere. 50 Cent kind of does it, but it's trying to Curtis 50 Cent. Someone said, "You ever heard of a stage name?" And I'm actually not even gonna read these entire Reddit posts, but just look at some of these. One says F Comethzine, lame ass Comethzine. Comethzine fell off so hard. Honestly, I feel like the only Comethzine fan. I haven't paid attention to Comethzine. You know, like people have been saying Comethzine has fallen off for a long time, so this isn't anything new. He does have a lot of fans though, so not a lot, but he has like enough to sustain. I just don't know if it's enough to like go up, if that makes sense. But what's really interesting is if you look at his subreddit, it's actually fairly active. Like they post at least like 5-10 times a month. Not like, okay, sorry, that's not very active. That's like, it's still like, it's hanging on its last thread, but it still exists. His fan base still exists. That's what I'm trying to get at. And people have not been happy with his, you know, prolonged hiatuses. But hiatus? Okay, whatever. Yeah, so that's really it. I just want to talk about it. Comethzine, he just really interests me. His like switch to his, I'm not gonna say sound yet, but image and just how he moves in general. You know, Comethzine kind of had the rap world in his hands. He definitely had the potential to like, I believe his first album sold like 20k or something, 30k. I'm not sure how much it sold. And then he kind of just never sold anything near that because he dropped the same type of album and didn't really promote it like 4 or 5 more times. You know, he definitely probably could have progressed. He definitely could have hopped on rage beats. He definitely could have hopped on all those beats, but he just chose not to. So there's got to be a reason why. And yeah, honestly, I have no explanation for why. I mean, other than of course, you know, he just stays true to himself and is cool like that. But or he has other interests, or you know, his financial needs were met and he was cool. Of course, all that could be the case, but I don't know. Just a really interesting career arc, you know what I mean? And if he pulls this off, I'm not gonna lie, we might have to have that conversation. I'm just kidding. But anyways, thanks for watching. Have a nice day and see you tomorrow. Bye.